Leading our bulletin this hour, the Justice, Crime Prevention and Security Cluster has given an update on its readiness for the festive season. It says it's ready for any eventuality. The military will also be deployed to major routes. eNCA reporter Heidi Giokos is following developments and joins us now. Heidi, good morning. The country has been a bit nervous given the recent judgment by the Gauteng High Court regarding former President Jacob Zuma. Will the military be deployed this festive season to all those strategic points?
Yes, so it seems as though the military has already been deployed despite the fact that we are moving into the festive season, or we are in the festive season, and because of that Gauteng High Court decision with regards to former President Jacob Zuma. What we do understand is that the Minister of Defence, Thandi Modise, highlighting the fact that the military had already moved in to provide the necessary support to the South African Police Service, especially around key routes and toll routes. The Minister highlighting the fact that because of the recent road closures and key routes being blocked by trucks and that particular unrest, they felt as though the military would provide the necessary support, especially Mfundo, because it is key economic routes and they find it extremely necessary to have all hands on deck. With regards to other areas, we do understand that they will be called upon by the South African Police Service should they require additional help or additional support. But the security cluster this morning saying that they feel as though they have all hands on deck and they are on high alert. They do not believe that there will be any kind of unrest, particularly around the issue regarding former President Jacob Zuma, but they are very aware that there could possibly be some kind of fears around this, but they don't want to preempt anything. That's why they would rather just plan and be cautious around this. But let's listen to the Minister of Defence.
You may recall that just before the local government elections, we stood right here and we said that we have an interest as the military to look after strategic infrastructure. We have been in discussion since with the Minister of Police, and Defence has agreed to take over just the toll roads and the toll gates specifically. And that decision was taken because we cannot afford a situation as a country where trucks block very strategic economic routes which not only affect South Africa but affect the whole of SADC.
Can you just elaborate further on this call by the security cluster for calm over some sort of fears around the unrest that could possibly start?
Yes, certainly. So what we do understand is that the security cluster that briefed this morning included Minister Ronald Damola, Minister Begicele, as well as Minister of Defence. And despite the fact that there might be fears around unrest and what we saw with what happened in July this year when former President Jacob Zuma was in jail, they are worried that there could be possible unrest, or they are saying they'd rather plan should there be any unrest, but also because we are in festive season and they need to be on high alert. A lot happens in during the festive season. They call it the silly season, and of course the security cluster wants to make sure that they have all boots on the ground to make sure that if anything does go wrong, they will be able to react very quickly. There was a lot of criticism, Mfundo, during the July unrest that the security cluster reacted very late and a lot of damage was done to the economy, to livelihoods, lives were lost, and of course the security cluster is being questioned around what is going to happen this time around. Of course, the South African Police Service cannot divulge any information as to how many police they are going to deploy, but we do know and we have been told that nobody goes on leave during the festive season to make sure that all hands are on deck. And what's interesting here is that they are saying that lessons have been learned from the July unrest, so hopefully we'll have no repeats of that. But let's listen to the Police Minister, Begicele, around the issue about possible unrest and what they're planning to do.
We have learned our experiences, and we'll have to use those experiences that the repeat of the destruction of property and the loss of life as it happened, it shouldn't. We have met with the management and leadership of the South African Police and Defence to make the preparations that the responses and reactions are much better this time. And we believe that they are on the ground in preparation for that as we speak.
Now, Heidi, we also know that the NCC has decided to keep South Africa on adjusted level 1 of the lockdown. Are all hands on deck at this point?
Well, we would hope so, Mfundo, because we do know that the Health Department releasing a statement about an hour or two ago announcing the fact that the country will remain on adjusted level 1. Many were expecting some kind of announcement, but we did hear from the President about 2-3 weeks ago that they will be monitoring the situation very closely. And despite the fact that Omicron is highly transmissible, what brings some kind of comfort and relief is the fact that hospitalization and mortality remains very low, and this is very different to what we saw during the second and third wave, which means that there isn't too much strain on the hospital facilities at this stage, but they are of course monitoring the situation. What's also important to highlight, Mfundo, is the fact that the Health Minister says it's the responsibility of each individual to behave carefully and not recklessly, because the pandemic is still here, infection rate remains very high, it's still very early days, and the next 2 to 3 weeks are going to be crucial. But we will have a lockdown-free Christmas this time around. Last year it was very unfortunate that we had to go in some kind of hard lockdown, but this time around it's different. And of course this means that police and the security cluster will have to be on high alert, because they need to make sure that everybody still adheres to those lockdown regulations and make sure that they implement these regulations should there be instances where people don't adhere to these regulations. So again, the police minister highlighting that it will be a full force team, making sure that everybody's safe on the roads as well, but also especially when there's these large gatherings, that all regulations are adhered to.
So South Africans, it is in fact in our hands. Thank you very much. That's our reporter Heidi Giokos giving us an update on the security cluster briefing. Now, don't even try to take a chance on the roads this festive season. That's the warning from Police Minister Begicele. He says law enforcement officers will be out in full force.
December is normally characterized by many people traveling to various holiday destinations across the country, and this contributes to a high traffic volumes on our roads, which unfortunately results in the loss of lives from vehicles crashes. During this time of the year, the safety of the road users, including pedestrians, becomes our biggest concern. Road traffic officers and other members of the law enforcement agencies will be out in full force to ensure compliance with the law and also facilitate the smooth flow of traffic on our roads. We appeal to the motorists to drive safely and courteously to ensure the safety of other road users, including pedestrians on our roads. Obey all the rules of the roads, amongst other things, maintaining the legal speed limit and refraining from drinking and driving or texting while driving. Road safety is everyone's business, and together we can make our roads safer.